I'm sure you've heard of 12-step recovery meetings. Well, lately I've been getting a lot of questions on how 12-step recovery meetings work, and I thought today I'll take my best stab at explaining it to those who are looking for more information. 12-step recovery meetings are programs for individuals either who are struggling with substance use, are struggling with eating disorders, struggling with spending too much money, struggling with any form of addiction. Any addictive process you can think of has a 12-step recovery group. And on the flip side of that, we have 12-step recovery groups for friends and family members of those affected by addiction. In these 12-step recovery meetings, here's what you can expect. You will look at a directory, which I'll have some of them in the description below. You'll look for a directory of a 12-step recovery group that is specific to whatever addictive process you're struggling with, and maybe your therapist has recommended that you check a specific one out. Once you've found one in your area, most likely it's going to be at a church because churches offer the cheapest rent for these self-supporting groups to operate. What you can expect is once you've found one, you will arrive at this group, and in that group will be people who are following structure in the way that they operate the group. And that structure is pretty simple. In the beginning of the meeting, there's going to be the recommended readings. All right, and those recommended readings could involve a breakdown of how that meeting operates, a breakdown of some of the basic texts in that meeting, a breakdown of some of the community guidelines that they follow together as a group, and then they'll have a leader. All right, some meetings operate differently in the way that they have a leader, but the leader will share three things. They're going to share their experience, strength, and hope. Sometimes that leader may share for 20 minutes, sometimes they may share for 10 minutes, but once they're done sharing their experience, strength, and hope, they will open it up to the group, and everybody gets a few minutes to share their experience based on what's been talked about. And if you're a newcomer, these individuals will encourage you to share if you'd like, but they're not going to force you to. You don't have to share. You can just listen. And I find the beauty of those programs is people connect with experience where they may have felt like they were the only one, maybe struggling with an addiction. Maybe they felt like they were the only one who had a family member that was struggling with an addiction that bad, and they get to hear the real and practical experiences of other people. Now, those 12-step meetings typically have a pretty regimented structure that they follow. They meet at this time every week, or maybe they meet at that spot multiple times a week, but they'll have that information available to you. Another beautiful part about 12-step programs is they're going to give you a pamphlet when you first get there that gives you all of the information on what helpful tools are, readings that you could look into, directories for other meetings in the area. And another thing that you can anticipate is that they're going to encourage you, the people in those meetings, they're going to encourage you to go to 6 meetings as close together as possible before you decide that 12-step meeting is not for you. And I think above all of that, the biggest thing you're going to find in those rooms is people who accept you, who welcome you, who are there with open arms. They're going to be laughing and smiling, and maybe that feels a little bit odd to you because they've experienced the distress too, and how could they be that happy? But they are, and maybe it's worth going in there to find the relief that they're finding, even though they may still be going through some of the struggles. And so in those rooms, what you can anticipate is being surrounded by people who are seeking solution. They are taking care of themselves, and they are no longer doing what they used to do, expecting different results. They're doing something new and different, and it's working for them. Now, I want to also, just as a clinician, right, as a therapist, I remind my clients when I point them in the direction of 12-step programs, it's not a religious program. By no means. It has nothing to do with religion. The program does use the word God, and it is a spiritual program, but you individually get to decide what that higher power is and what it means to you. And in the beginning, if you don't want to approach that concept at all and just want to listen to what people are talking about in their experiences, either with addiction or having a loved one who struggles with addiction, you could just listen. You could just listen to that. But once you get into it, in order to get your change and to work your process, you'll be encouraged to work the 12 steps. And the 12 steps are universal across all 12-step programs. Essentially, we've all heard it. Step 1 is admitting powerlessness over whatever the struggle is. And then the next 2 steps are your spiritual steps of identifying and coming to believe in a power greater than you. And that's really it. You're not the higher power. There is something else that's the higher power that's bigger than you. Coming to believe that that power that you've identified could restore you to sanity, and making a decision to let that power greater than yourself restore you to sanity. Then after you've done some of those basic steps, the first 3 steps, as difficult as they are, then you would transition into your 4th step, which is an inventory, your 5th step, which is sharing that inventory with other people and talking to your higher power about it. You know, 6 and 7 are about your character defects and getting into your assets as well as your character defects, like the things that are really great about you and the things that you would like to change. And then 8 and 9, you get into your amends. You're making your lists about like who are the people I've harmed and that I need to make amends to. And then you actually do those things. And then 10 is your daily inventory, where you're looking at your behaviors consistently. 11 is a step about prayer and meditation, right? And bringing those dynamics into your life on a daily basis so that you can stay mindful in the present moment. And then step 12 is carrying that message to the newcomer. So you could be a sponsor or sharing your experience, strength, and hope in meetings. That's what to expect from a 12-step program. And I'll tell you, those 12 steps, when my clients work those 12 steps and they've come to me in the beginning in a place of either addiction, or they don't know how to detach from a loved one who has an addiction, and they go and they work those 12 steps, I'll tell you, these are some of the most peaceful, calm, fulfilled, joyful people after that process that I've ever met. And I enjoy being a part of that process. And so I wanted to take and carve out a little bit of time today to just give you some basic information about what to expect from a 12-step meeting. It's not going to harm you, right? If you've ever been recommended, or if anyone's ever, kind of planted the seed that they'd be helpful for you, I'll tell you, you will never regret it. You'd never regret going to one of those meetings, and the people who do feel a lot better when they do. But again, it's not for everybody, and it's a program for people who want that change. And so no knock on anybody who doesn't want to do those things. I'd just like to give the information to those who are considering it, right? And maybe break down a little bit of the information and the nerves of like what to expect. And I would say above all, what to expect is just a thriving community of people who are ready for you to be a part of it and would love to see you be a part of it. And as a therapist, I would like to encourage more individuals to explore that process if they need it and want it. So if you're out there and you're struggling with your mental health, you're feeling distress, you're feeling stressed, or you're struggling emotionally, I would encourage you to reach out for therapy. Right? Go to psychologytoday.com and find a therapist in your area. Go on Google and Google therapists, mental health therapists in my area, and there will be plenty. If you're struggling with addiction and an unmanageable problem with substances, I would encourage you to find Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous so they can help you find sobriety and long-term recovery. If you're a friend or family member of a loved one who's struggling with an unmanageability around substances or an addiction, I would encourage you to look into the program of Al-Anon. They're the people who are going to help you find answers and solution to better taking care of yourself. That's all I've got. Take what you like and leave the rest. I'd love to hear your comments down below on 12-step recovery, maybe your experiences with it, or just any questions that you have. But that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.